topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Well, good evening, and welcome to another segment of Setting It Straight with Miss Gray. Welcome to you all, and I know folks are going to be coming in and coming on and all that good stuff, so just stay tuned, but we're going to open with prayer. Father, we just thank you, we praise you, we give you glory. For you alone are worthy to be praised all the day long. There's not enough words in the languages, in the different cultures, and the different dialects to praise you, but we praise you today, and I thank you for the revelation. I thank you for this opportunity to come before your people and to set the record straight, to dislodge the lies, and to bring into the awareness of what's going on for your people, for your servants, your children, Lord. Now, as always, we get behind the cross. We let you do what you do. This is your show. This is your program. We are your children. We are waiting to hear from you and only you. But we follow your voice. A stranger's voice we do not follow. We thank you. We thank you for tonight's topic. We love you, Lord, and all that you do. We ask this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. Well, there's Trey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
That's good. That's good. Well, our guests should be popping in shortly, hopefully, prayerfully. If not, we're going to carry it on out. There she is.
Hello, Miss Gray.
Hey, Kristine, how are you?
Good. How are you?
All is well. Well, we're going to do some preliminary stuff, so hang in there with us here.
Yes.
Tonight, we're going to be talking about National Humor and Stress Awareness. Also, it is health and safety awareness this month, and it is also limb loss and limb difference awareness this month, and occupational therapy month.
Yes.
Okay. So we're celebrating. We're going to put it all together because it makes sense. It's about being happy. It's also National Happiness Day as well, and or month. And right now, people need to find they're healthy, but there are steps that you need to take. And I thought, the Lord said to invite Kristine on. She is my current and former, but she's my current as well, occupational therapist who has helped me these last 4 or 5 years since we were introduced to get to this place where I'm at, where I'm able to function. And we'll talk more about that. I'm going to let her talk also. But again, I need everybody out there in listener land to I need you to woosah. I need you to just exhale for a minute. Just exhale, because I know a lot of you are just getting off work. Some of you are pulling over to listen to the show. I just need you to exhale for just a minute. And by exhaling, it does a few things. It relieves you. It softens up the body. It helps you to relax, because a lot of times we're walking around like this and we don't know it and realize it. So then we go, just one breath. Just one. And the recommendation is to do 3. Okay. And I know probably some are going to say happiness, look what's going on in the world. Yes, I know. But for some of us, we're not surprised. We didn't know what it was going to look like, but we know that the world is becoming unglued, unfortunately. So you have to still find your happiness so that you could be what? Safe. In where? Home and in the workplace. You have to find your new normal as well. Especially, and I think that applies to the whole world since 2020. It's not just folks who've lost their limbs. It's not folks that lost their loved ones. It's everybody has had, because we were all affected. So again, as I shared, Kristine is my current, and I'm not in session right now, but I have to say current because I'm just a prescription away if I have to come back in and get things straightened out. But she helped me, and then she went beyond just being an occupational therapist working for the company Ability here in Orlando, but she did extra stuff. She did research on my bionic arm and even my cosmetic arm and everything that was going on. She knows me literally from head to toe. She really knows me. And she can speak on anything. Don't you all try to recruit her and get the secrets. Nope, you can't do that. You can't buy her out. Nope. Mm-mm. Anyway, but this is big for her. But I thank you again, Kristine, for joining us tonight. And this is Trey, my co-host. She's a former friend from back home, but she lives in Virginia now. And she's a social worker. She just didn't, get all the rest of the degree, but she's a social worker at heart as well. So Trey, this is Kristine, and Kristine, I want you to take it from here, and I want you to, take your time. Whatever God has laid on your heart when we talk about the importance of humor and happiness and safety. You can go from that, but you can also talk about the role of an occupational therapist, because I'm on the thread for Amputee Coalition, and we have like 5 different streams of thread of conversation. And there are people all over this world that have recently become amputeed who are having so much difficulty with their therapists, just their PT and their OT. You wouldn't, I mean, they will write it all out. And sometimes you don't know what to tell them because I'm not in your state. I don't know how they run things in your city. I could tell you what you could do here. You come to Orlando and where you need to go, but they're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to. They just like, no, you do this, and they're being told you do this. They can't go back in and get their limbs reconfigured. Some of them are not wearing this stuff because they've outgrown it. It's horrible. It's horrible. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I want you to let you know that you're free. You have free range, whatever's on your heart and what you would want to tell us. And our audience will pop in and say hi, and they may ask a question, and then I'll redirect it most definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So my job as an occupational therapist is to help people not only with limb loss, but limb differences to increase their independence. So I find one of the most important things is to get to know each individual and create their occupational profile. So I ask all the questions, even if it was something that they got hurt at work doing. Of course, as a company, we have to understand, okay, who is the pay source? If it's workers' compensation, you have to be careful, but I truly feel that that is not the only thing that defines them. And I want them to have a good life forever. So what do they like to do? What is most important to them? What are their goals? Because your goals aren't the same as someone else's goals, right? I don't want to think, oh, Miss Gray is a woman. She needs to learn how to cook again. You told me you don't really like cooking. So we didn't work much on cooking activities, right? So doing what they want versus what you think they want or you think they need. So asking lots of questions, even each day. Okay, think about what you want to work on next time. Even asking them, what do you think of today's session? You will not offend me if you were like, I didn't benefit from that. That's okay. Thank you for telling me that. And you should have a good connection with your therapist to be able to say things like that. If you want to work on this next time, absolutely. These are your sessions, not mine. So of course there are goals that we have to work towards, but it should be steered by the patient and not the therapist. And also to be mindful and respectful about where they are in their grieving process if they are dealing with limb loss. That's a huge thing. And I feel like in the therapy world, we are so excited to have a prosthetic and oh my gosh, look at this cool limb and look what it can do. But the person is still grieving about, oh my gosh, I don't have my arm or I don't have my leg. What do I do? And you have someone coming at you saying, look, isn't this so cool? No, I want my arm back. So being respectful and giving them space, giving them time to breathe, um, and allowing that it's okay. Stop, breathe, cry. I'll cry with you. Don't mean to, but it happens. Um, and all of that is just so important. Again, you're seeing these people, seeing patients, especially with limb loss, for years. This is not just a quick few sessions. This is okay. You have your first prosthetic. Okay, that's great. Well, a few years later, whether it's a different size where you need a different limb, technology changes constantly. Same with iPhones, same with limbs. So to always have that connection. And then also as a therapist, not with everyone, but I give my number out. So please, or email address at least, contact me. If you ever have anything, please, I don't want you to think that you're alone. The prosthetists are wonderful and they give you this device and then they just say, here you go, figure it out. And I think the job of the therapist is the hardest because you are now having to figure out and fine tune what they need now and how they're going to use this for the better and to become independent. And again, it all comes down to listening to the patient and understanding and helping through all the processes. One thing with occupational therapy that I really like is adaptive equipment. Educating people on the adaptive equipment is necessary, but also having to make sure that they know how to do things without that equipment. Because if you want to go out for a weekend or go to your family's house, you don't want to tote a suitcase full of jar openers and hooks and all these things. So at first, starting with the adaptive equipment and then understanding how to get away from that. So, and it's expensive too. Not everyone has a lot of money to buy all the gadgets. There are lots of gadgets, but it's a lot of money. And that's another thing to consider. Sometimes I'll even make some for patients if I can figure it out, or we can figure it out together. Patients all the time, oh, I think if you did this, that would be great. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're acting like an occupational therapist. I love it. So getting ideas from them too of what they have figured out at home. And then, okay, how can we make that a little easier for them to use?
Yeah, I can remember when I was in therapy. Country C and Misty have joined us, and yes, Country C, I want to acknowledge there are a lot of things going on in the world, and there are a lot of awarenesses too. And so that's what we do is let you know what's going on. And Misty said, you have to have compassion. And this young lady you see before you is full of compassion. When God made her, I don't know when she realized that she was going to be in occupational therapy. Is there a fund that will help those in need to get things needed? Oh, Anastasia, thank you. I'll get back. I'll try to cover that definitely, because you have to be creative with that as well. I know many people are limited by their insurance coverage. That's why the Amputee Coalition is a national nonprofit organization nationwide that has influence and that lobby our needs, and they listen for what's the needs per state, what's going on and everything. So they're doing a lot of networking and sending us information. I'll talk about that in a minute, but that's one thing with Kristine. She knew me so well that she could just look at the way when she come to the reception area to call my name. She was already looking back at me like, okay, something you're not with it today, and she could tell when I would be exhausted. just trying to park downtown and find a parking space. She gave me that moment, and she protected me, and it was just, and my physical therapy folks were right in the same space, and so they worked well together. I don't know what they did behind closed doors as far as not in front of the patient, but both her and Caitlin knew me very well. How can people get the word out for better awareness? Well, Misty, you just have to know that it exists, because I'm a social worker with a mental health background. I've shared with you all, I've only maybe had one patient in over 30 years that had a limb, but he wasn't coming there for that. He had an alcohol problem. We had to send him for detox. Now, I don't know which came first. Was it the alcoholism, or was the loss of the limb that caused the alcoholism dependency? I don't even know which came first, but we never talked about that. I could never get to that point. But going back to Kristine, she was able to, she got to know me. And like I said, I couldn't fool her, because I mean, I'd be like, whew, okay. And she goes, okay, Miss Gray, look what we're doing. This is what we're going to do. Now, they have to be governed by insurance and those limitations. They have to, but not once. I'm in a special situation, but still not once did she or Caitlin make me feel some kind of way. Like, okay, we only have 6 weeks. They never said that to any patient in my presence, even though they knew they only had 6 weeks to get this patient to some level of functioning. So it made me, I knew the behind the scenes about insurance and all that kind of, so I'm trying not to wear the social worker hat. I'm trying to be the patient when I come before her. And she just met me where I was at. She did what our social worker creed is: you meet the client. In our world, we meet the client, but in her world, she met the patient where they were. And there were times I would be crying, and the tears would just come, because it's like, look what has happened to me. And okay, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to go personal. And I remember one particular time the Lord had whispered in my ear. He said, you got to push. You got to push. And what that meant for me was to tell her and Caitlin, I give you permission to push me today. And because they were very sure, like, okay, Miss Gray knows, she knows this, she knows she's adapted, she's okay. And, but they were patient enough with me, and they allow each session. And I did some pushback sometime, like, oh man, I'm hot. My socket is hot. I got to get this off. And Kristine's, okay, you know what? We're gonna get up and we're gonna throw some balls. Let's do it. Let's rest the hand. Let's take your arm off. Let's go. Okay. She goes, you know what? I know you do the laundry. I came in one day, and I didn't notice it at first. So I'm walking to the section, and then she goes, we're going to do something different today. I was like, okay, you drip this up, so let's go. And next thing I know, she had the laundry. They have a washing machine and dryer in the in the break room because they wash the towels that the patients use, but it's also to make me fold the towels and the pillowcases. Because I said to her, what? I want to do I can do the laundry. So she was listening. That was way in early assessment. But she look at me and tell, okay, I can't make her, catch things, we're not gonna use the arm today. And she'll look at my arm, she said, your arm looks swollen. She calls it out. And I'm like, I wonder what that was. And she said, let's try something. She'll try to, put my arm out, and it was not going. She go, we need to call Stephanie. And then she went beyond calling my prosthetist. And they were on the phone all the time. She even came to some appointments on readjusting to learn my new arm. I got new sensors. And Kristine showed up, and her company, I don't know what they said or what she said, to get there. But then she goes, I'm going for Miss Gray. They're like, oh, okay, go, just go. Okay, go.
That's pretty much what I said. Because it's so important to learn. It's not, how am I supposed to grow also as a therapist? How am I supposed to help you when I don't understand how your prosthetic works? That's just bad for both of us. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's the part of the therapist that is difficult for them to comprehend or to take that next step is some of this stuff that I'm doing, it's on my time. But again, it's one, I need to learn this for you, but I truly care. I mean, especially for you, Miss Gray, I just love you. Um, but all of my patients, you know, you
Yeah,
guys are my sisters, my aunts, my, you know,
we're
moms and
family.
dads.
You do feel like family. Her
Yeah.
father, I don't know what she went home to just share her caseload with, but she's probably said, I got one patient and she's having this phantom sensation, and I don't know. And her dad builds a glass mirror for me, stand, because there's a process where, because you've lost this hand, I still feel my hand in my arm. I want to itch my hand, my left hand. I don't have it anymore. But you could do something with my right hand. I still have my palm. And if I position my hand just right in the mirror, my other hand is thinking, this is thinking, okay, that's the hand. And I could be doing this in the mirror, but I'm looking in the mirror and my hand is feeling, the hand is being affected in here, even though I don't have a hand in there. I know this is so hard to even imagine, but trust me, it is so real. And her father, I come to my next session. She didn't say nothing to me. She goes, "Oh, my dad was I was talking, and my dad came up with this idea. And there's this glass thing. I should have brought it, put it on the table. I still have it, and there are times I had to pull it out and use it, even
Good,
after discharge. After
good.
discharge. So I'm circling back, and I know my audience is really listening attentively. How is she going to bring this back to humor and happiness? I went in being myself. I'm a happy person. I've always tried to be, and we're always laughing and stuff like that, and things, But I had my moments, but I knew I had to come out of that, and Kristine, I don't know if were aware, but I think you should have been a social worker as well, because you knew to close. That's one thing we need to do when we open up a can of worms. Saw that on episode. Okay, on House once. There you
Oh, I
go.
love house.
That's real. You love House. But Kristine knew, like, she wouldn't let me go out fragile. She wouldn't let me go out raw. And she said, "Okay, Miss Gray, you got homework. You got homework now, so you got to do this, you got to do that." And we'll probably work on that a little bit when you come back, because I was coming initially like twice a week, and things. And there's some people who have to come every day for 6 weeks, and the insurance will pay for that, and that's it. They can't circle back. So, and then on top of that, I want to say this, and then Trey, if you have any questions or anything, please. Um, the MPT Coalition had their annual conference here in Orlando during the week of my birthday last year, and guess who came? That young lady right there. She came and she was involved, and we walked the different tables in between, and she was just on it. And but she was looking out for me, because she knows that I had to tell them I have to walk looking down. If the surface is not smooth, I don't want to fall. So she's like, "Okay, Miss Gray, they double up these cords here, And she didn't. I don't think she realized it, but she was just doing it normally. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there is a cord down there." And then we met some of the lead people. Osher is a lead company that does this type of this development and everything, and we were able to talk to these people and stuff like that. So again, it made my journey a lot more smooth. I had to learn a heck of a lot. I had to relearn some things, but thank God I'm right hand dominant, but still to put the pressure on this hand, and just I only have my thumb, and my four fingers are gone. I had to do it, but they work with me on balance and everything else that I needed. So, Trey, did you have anything you want to add? And then I want to go back to Anastasia's question about things, and then I want Kristine to come back on too. Stay there, Chris. Don't go anywhere.
No, I was just gonna, commend Miss Kristine, um, for stepping up, and but I think that's part of the social work therapy piece, and I appreciate that, and I know Miss Leisha does too. So the world needs a whole lot more people just like you to make it better, because it could have gone a whole different way. So I appreciate you on behalf of not only Miss Leisha, and I know she does, but she's a friend and a sister, and I'm glad you were able to take care of her.
Thank you.
And yeah, anesthesia, you were talking about, you were asking about proceeds and resources and stuff. And that's a big thing because you need to know what your insurance will cover. Um, and because when it comes to the arms, the bionic arms and things like that, they still have sensors that were made from the 1960s in them. And the Amputee Coalition is trying to push legislature, bring this to their attention that we got to update and upgrade, because it's not doing us any good. And Kristine, correct me if I'm wrong. When I had the 1960 sensors in, I basically had to do what the arm told me to do. Like even though I had those little flat sensors. If I waved the arm over that, and I wanted to get a cup from the cupboard, it would know that's the number 10 sensor number 10. This little flat thing, I would have to rub my hand right. And now with the new sensors, that's 10 years old. That's 10, yeah, about 10 years old. I'm telling my arm what I want to do, and I know that sounds really weird to the layperson. But if you could expound upon that for me, I'd appreciate it.
Yes. So there are still a lot of people that are using your initial device, which was made by OSER, where you contract your muscle and then you move your hand forward or sideways or backwards, and then it would do a preset control. So you would open your muscle and then jump forward, then it'll close. So you can make it smooth, but if someone's just watching you, it looks a little awkward where you're staring at this robot arm and then, oh, it went, oh, go forward, grab, oops, no, I accidentally pointed my finger, or, I sneezed and this happened. So now your new and a lot of new technology learns your body patterns. So it's more natural to use the electric device. So what you think this pinch is, you can make it whatever you want, and your prosthetic will learn how to do this pinch. So you train it, not it training you. And I think that is a huge difference between, again, you having to learn this crazy robot arm after dealing with an injury, and technology continues to expand and grow, and it's wonderful. And hopefully one day they'll actually have the ability to touch, to feel that. Because when you're using your prosthetic device, you have to make sure that you know that there's a cup in your hand. Because if you let go and you're looking over here and it lets go, that's it. So the tactile sensation, you just don't have. So when you're opening something, you have to look at it, or else you don't know where your arm is in space. Do you even are you holding the Ziploc bag? You have no idea. You have to look at it. And, it's something that you have to, and it's not relearning, it's learning, because you didn't have that before. So you are learning something completely new. So learning these tips and tricks, again, is with your prosthetist and occupational therapist. But it's just a whole nother world, a whole different way of doing things. And when you see, like we met Jason, Miss Gray, who has both arms that are robotic devices and myoelectric arms. And he was, oh my gosh, opened a can, drank that, did all this. And that's a lot of practice. And he has 3 kids, so he had to figure it out, and that was it. But it's a lot for anyone.
It's a lot. Yeah. And if you come into my world and walk with me through a day of therapy, you would get an idea, but you also would see the different people. There was a patient in there that had no muscle in his arm. It was just the muscles were gone, and he was upset that he couldn't take his fork and get the peas. He was trying to just eat peas, and he would tremble so, and he had nothing, no flexibility in his arms, and he was just, and her colleague was trying to tell him go on Amazon, talk about assisted devices. Amazon has taken over. I applaud them because I couldn't go to a specialty store. There's no specialty store here in Orlando. I got on Amazon, and from scissors to can openers to almost everything. You just type in the search bar assisted devices, it's gonna pop up. It's gonna run for a minute. And I remember that particular day, I think I shared it on the show that he was just really adamant. He's like, now I got to pay for something. Now I got to buy something. And I'm like, and they've got all kinds of things at their place, at the office that you can, and how to help us to be able to throw things and catch things and do exercises and things like that. And he was just not hearing it. And I was just like, whew, he's getting on my nerves, because he was not appreciative. They were just trying to just show him. They got their cell phones out, said, they see Amazon, you can use this. And here's a grip fork that will help you grip. And, he didn't want to hear it. So I got up, I was called to the physical therapy side. And I went over there and I was just like shaking my head. And Caitlin was looking at me like, oh boy, Miss Gray, you all right? I said, yeah, I'll be all right. I'm shaking my head, but I said, just give me a minute. Woo! So the gentleman comes over and he's getting ready to do his physical therapy. And then he stopped. He said, excuse me a minute. He came over to me. He said, young lady, I'm so sorry. I don't act like that. He said, the next time you hear me do that, just tap me on the shoulder. I said, no, I'm going to do you better. I'm going to Target to get some Nerf balls and bring them with me. And when you start showing out, because these people are trying to help you, they don't have to do that, right? All they have to do is do your exercise and for 45 minutes and you're out. He said, you're right. And I said, no, you need to tell and you're sorry and apologize even to Kristine because we had to be subject to that. But you don't need to tell me, but I promise you I'm going to bring the Nerf balls and I'm just going to throw one at you and you'll know what I'm thinking. So, but it was a family type, situation. Patients were feeling bad, but they were looking at me and my arm and everything. So you get these stares and then people are like, oh, this poor girl. And I'm like, no, I don't need your sympathy. I got work to do because I got to become independent as I can. I got to embrace it. And I got to, and I go in for maintenance every year for both my arms. Not everyone can adjust to changes. It takes time to come to terms with loss. You're very much right. And guess what? I've been discharged for about 2 years now, about a year at least.
Yeah.
I'm 5 years in since all this happened to me, Anastasia, and I've just been discharged from both PT and OT. But I still have I still call in, and I just had my new arm done, and I'm not have to go in, be trained on that. So yeah, that's why you have to have a new normal every day. You don't let yesterday trip you up. Once upon a time, I didn't think I would be able to drive. And I asked my foot surgeon, is there a special class I can go to? Because I don't want to rely on my kids. They've already been through enough. And he said, well, I'll tell you what you do, Miss Gray. He said, no, there's some classes out there. But you know what? Just find an empty parking lot on a Sunday. Gun your car 55, 65 and slam on the brakes. See how you feel. I've been driving ever since. I was like, thank you, Doc. But he knows me, just like this young lady has gotten to know me. He was my foot surgeon. He removed my toes on both feet, and I go and see him every 6 weeks. And he wants to make sure I'm okay. So you talk to your people, talk to your doctors and things like that. When we talk from the medical perspective, tell them what you're going through. And if they're not listening, I would say go get a second opinion.
Yes.
Go get a second opinion. Don't sit there. You're already going through struggle. And then you go to the appointment to the person that's supposed to kind of shed a little light and they're making it darker. No, I'm not going to keep you in my life like that. I'm not going to do that. So look up on Amazon if you need adaptive equipment, from scissors to, cups. It was so funny. A lady was watching me, and I went to the movies, and I was by myself, I think, this time. And the lady, I had my other cup holder. I don't have it in front of me, but I have a whole bunch of these, and I got them from Amazon, okay? Because it helps me to hold my cup. And I've got single ones as well, and it just comes right up, and I'm just fine. So I took my huge Melaleuca bag in to the movies, so I could put my popcorn in there, and I have my hand, my holder, and I walked, and the lady said, "Oh, that's nice," But she was like wondering how is she going to carry her Slurpee cup and her popcorn. My popcorn went in the bag. They helped me put they know me at the movie theater, so they put my popcorn in the bag, and I went on up to the handicapped area and enjoyed myself. Now I'm on level C by myself, so I went up 3 stairs, got in the middle, and I sit in row C now. I don't sit in the handicapped area by myself anymore. I can sit in, put my cup down in the cup holder. I enjoyed my movie. I left that way. I was able to take everything to the trash. Done. And I'm on my way home. So that's my new normal. I have to make sure I have my cup holders. I have to make sure I have my large bag in the car just in case I decide, you know what? I can go, let me go to a movie. I'm not doing anything. So going back to happiness. Now, Kristine, I want to just segue a little bit to safety in the workplace, because there are people who are still trying to work and get back to some sort of work. A lot of people, unfortunately, have been laid off because of. Will you be willing to share your story with us on how things happen? What led up to the amputation? Maybe I will one soon, Misty. I've done it in bits and pieces, but I will one day. And also getting ready to write work on the 4th book, Weeping Warrior, Part 2, when the practitioner becomes the patient. So that's going to be out by this year. So you may want to wait a little bit and grab a book. But Kristine will be in there. She'll have her own chapter. But let's talk about that a little bit, because finding you're happy, and like I said before, it's hard. I mean, and when you don't have all of this, like what I've had to deal with, but what are you seeing now coming in to the office? Is it the same type of hopelessness and despair? Are people eager to try to get better? And because now we've had COVID, now we're post-COVID, now we still have 19 other variances out there. What are you seeing now? I'm just curious if you can share a little bit on that.
I feel like people are a little more happy. COVID was really dark, and I was pretty much people's only friend and interaction. We weren't allowed to leave anywhere, and the patients are my friends and I'm their friends. And, either way, whether COVID or not, we always try and keep a positive attitude. No one wants to be in therapy, and I get that. So at least make it enjoyable, right? And of course, you can't always be laughing. Like, there are things that are really sad. Why they were here. We have people with domestic abuse, where their partner hurt them and that's why they're there, or self-harm. So things that you want to avoid talking about. So I redirect, and I don't know, I start talking about whatever, my kid, or, something fun, just funny little stories, whatever, and getting them into what they enjoy. But, because I try and be upbeat and keep it on a lighter note, again, not being too bubbly and annoying, I figure that out. Is that for Miss Gray? I'm sure. Of course, you have inner strength.
Was that for Kristine or was that for me? I think it's for Kristine. But inner strength, yeah, this is who she is. School didn't teach her this. Because, I've been through knowing these folks, through my treatment, I was asked to be on the advisory board of an occupational therapy program for a 4-year college. So I'm on the advisory board. I'm the only person that's not a professor in the field. And then from there, I've spoken to several classes to talk about mental health and things like that and how to be. And I've draw upon my experiences with, Caitlin and Kristine, everyone on the panels. See, they seems to have inner strength. Praise God. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna make Trey also address that. We only have 5 more minutes, so I'm gonna be quiet. Trey, go for it.
I don't know how to go for that. I mean, everything said before me was great, but I think too, it's the people that you surround yourself with. And so there are people who are going to lift you up and there are people that are going to bring you down. And so you try to gravitate to those who are going to lift you up. And because, it's a step away from being down. It could be one thing that can trigger you being down. And sometimes it's easy to stay there, so finding ways to make yourself happy or laugh. Um, I now use this TikTok is actually hilarious. I find some things on there that are just hilarious, whether it has to do with animals or situations. Um, People have really become creative and create in developing content, and so that's become something that I've done. I mean, I'm on Facebook some, but when I say TikTok, some of those pages on TikToks, and you got the animals, somebody's acting like the animal talking, and then you're seeing these bizarre situations and people's reactions to it. That is hilarious. I also try to, at one point I was a news buff. I've slowed that down tremendously. I don't turn it on much. I might turn it on, flip it on, and say, okay, that's enough until next week, and I might turn it on. But finding television shows that make you laugh, or talking about things that make you happy, and so, because like I said, it's so easy coming from the mental health field, Alicia. It's so easy to stay down. You know, it's very easy to stay down, and so you have to reach out to a friend, or like I said, use those things that'll make you laugh, um just to kind of get out of it. And typically I find myself laughing a lot, and trying to smile and make light of things. My aunt used to say, better than a blood pressure pill, then laughter is better than that. And so, like I said, find those people who are going to support and lift you up, and try to stay away or limit your time with things that bring you down. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Amen to that. And there
Yeah.
would be times I'm in physical therapy, and either Kristine, or I mean Caitlin, or G, the next person that came, that interacted with on the next round, and he's stretching me, right, and I'm like, gee, what happens when people pass gas? Because you moving us around. You moving us around. I mean, do you laugh? He said, "This is great. Stop." I said, "No." See, this is why there's certain careers is not for me. I would be like, "What you doing? Don't be drinking no prune juice when you come in now. Don't be doing that. You know." What am I supposed to do with that? Then you go get the Lysol and spray. What you do? You got to wipe everything down. And I know they got to be embarrassed because you're like, oh my God, they're stretching and making all these noises. And I'm like, how do y'all keep a straight face? But it's just little things like that you can make light of. You can also tell those who are very, very serious, and they have a very serious face. And so I don't push them to, because they don't know me. My girls are out on vacation or whatever, so I have to take whoever. And they're like, oh, they got to quickly get to know me in 45 minutes and stick to the lesson plan as well. you know. And so I know, being a humorous person, I know my limit. I could tell by body language. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with this because she's not gonna get what I'm saying. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Where's Kristine? Where's coming back? And I give her a hard time when she comes back. I was like, don't put me over anybody. I'll just take the week off until you get back. Cause oh no, you know. But yeah, the inner strength comes from my faith. I've always had my faith. Thank God I had my faith prior to this happening to me. I increased my faith ever more because even though I was in the hospital for 97 days and dying twice and in a coma 3 weeks and all that, and then 6 months later, actively amputate, self amputating, I had to still minister to people in the hospital. I still had to talk about God in the hospital. And when it's who you are, it's who but it brought me, and then the Lord would get after me. He said, "Now, don't you give Kristine a hard time today." I said, "God, I don't want to go, but I can't call it in because I know there are other patients that they could have. I can't call it the night before because she will call me and say, what's going on?" What's going on? And I know she would go and tell Stephanie at the prosthetic office, and she'll go and talk to my foot surgeon. She'll go talk to my hand surgeon. He's right down the hall, so I couldn't lie, and I don't lie, so I couldn't make up anything. I go in like, Oh, I don't want to be here today. She goes, okay, that's good. Come on, let's go do a massage. Let's just do a massage. And I'm like, ah, but I had to love her and I couldn't be mad at her for too long. And she accepted it, So you've got to find your happiness now. You've got to, no matter what is going on, you've got to find your happiness. Once you find it, you need to embrace. Because that's another thing. A lot of times we're told to do things, but we don't like it. But if you embrace it, it's going to make it just a little bit more easier going down. It really does. You have to find your happy place. You got to find out what you need to do. What's your purpose in this world? Everybody's a purpose. Don't let the voices in your head tell you not. Oh, there's no reason for you to live. There's nothing for you to do. What good are you? Get those voices out your head. Give us a call. We will walk you through. What do you like to do? If money wasn't an issue, what would you like to do? What do you see yourself doing? What do you see yourself living? Then that should be your vacation spot the next time you go on vacation. Well, no. Last week we had one of the librarians, the development manager of our local library from downtown. And Kristine, you'll be amazed at what the library downtown does. And they have 3 social workers. And they helped over 4,400 people last year. Social workers in a library. So there's always there's interactive things they've got down there. That you can rent a studio room down there. You can go and learn how to crochet. You can learn how to do. And let me tell you, talk to my older people. I know you want to stay off the grid and you don't want to learn the computer, but you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't have an iPad, an active one. You're doing yourself a disservice and you're making yourself depressed. You need to keep up with technology. You don't have to have the Fitbit watch and all that. And the Fitbit watch kind of told on a lady that her boyfriend was cheating because his heart rate was up at 2 a.m. in the morning. And she said, what were you doing at 2 a.m.? You weren't here. He said, well, I went to work out. She said, no, you didn't, because the gym closed up early tonight. So where were you 2 o'clock? What were you doing? The Fitbit watch told, ratted him out. So you got to be careful with some of these devices. But anyway, go to your local library. Find out what they do. If there's a need, I'm pretty sure they're interactive. They're trying to receive funding. If you tell them, well, why is it that we don't have a quilting club here? Well, they'll probably say, do you know 3 people who quilt? If you do, we'll make a spot for you. Do you need resources? All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask. All right, Kristine, we're down to 2 more minutes. Anything you want to leave our loving audience with?
Speaking about happiness, just celebrating the little accomplishments. Little things add up to big things. Surround yourself with good people. It's hard to stay positive all the time, and you can have your little pity party, but then get yourself out of it and keep going.
Amen. Amen. And that's the key. Realize that you had to go to the valley for a minute. We all have to do it. We may look good on here, but there are times we have to go. I will shut down from everybody. I come off the grid. You don't hear from me until my attitude is right. Because I'm 90% spiritual, but I'm 10% flesh. Remember that 10% goes a long way. But I know when I have to go to my valley, I get quiet. I regroup. What's going on? What can I change? Oh, I can't change that. I'm gonna back away from that. Okay, I delete people out of my phone. I don't have 1,000 people in the phone. If I haven't heard from you in a minute, you're deleted. Folks, I have students that'll come back after 10 years. Hey, Miss Gray, you remember me? And I put out, I don't know who you are. Oh, that's right. I forgot. You do delete people if you don't hear from them. I said, yes, I do. And I don't wait a year. Anyway, that's our time. Kristine, God bless you. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. And this is so important to me. And you're always going to be a part of my family. You're always family with me. And I'm here. And I'll probably be coming in soon for just a little touch up. Just to make sure I'm right where I need to be. So, but anyway, Trey, thank you. Rebel, thank you. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same station. Night, night.
Good night.